From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks. President Biden is urging congressional action to tighten America's gun controls after yet another mass shooting, this time at a hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Day one of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations in London have drawn to a close, with beacons being lit in every corner of the UK. And the White House has unveiled fresh sanctions on Russia to punish Moscow for its invasion of Ukraine and crack down on efforts to evade existing penalties.
Brought to you by Triangle Access Broadcasting, here's a look at the weather in the Oak 93.5 listening area. Partly to mostly cloudy skies tonight with a chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms, low around 70. Partly cloudy on Friday with a chance of isolated afternoon showers, high around 87. Partly to mostly cloudy Friday night, low around 64. Mostly sunny and less humid on Saturday, high around 86. And Saturday night, mostly clear skies, low around 62. Keep it here on Oak 93.5. I'm nowcast meteorologist Jim Vaughn.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned into Chat City with P. Ross. Conversations and interviews are in the queue. Listen or join in. Here she is, P. Ross.
Greetings, everyone. It is I, P. Ross, and we thank you for tuning in to another episode of Chat City with P. Ross. I am excited to announce I have here with me today motivational speaker, entrepreneur, philanthropist, Anthony McCauley. Anthony B. McCauley. Welcome to the show, Anthony.
Oh, man, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me today.
You're welcome. And the person that's going to be joining us a little later, Mr. Dion Wingate. He's going to be here with us later on in the show. But in the meantime, Anthony, how was your week this past week?
Well, this week has been going great. You know, it's been some ups, it's been some downs, but for the most part, I still have my motivation. So that's where I'm at right now. The good always outweighs the bad.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And you know, you are a master at that, knowing how to turn bad things into good things. I applaud you on that. Let me give you a house applause on that real quick. Yeah. So, as I mentioned, Anthony is a motivational speaker. He's also an author. He has several books. One of the books that I did get a chance to read was called Setback for the Comeback. And I'll tell you, it also is on that title, it says it's never too late. And so I do know Anthony, known him for a short period of time. But when he handed me his book to read, I was just blown away because he carried himself in such a way that you would have never known he had a dark side that he went through early on in his life. And he's able to take that dark side and, as I said earlier, turn it around into a positive and show others how to come out of the dark side and stay in the light. Ooh. So I'm so excited for you to hear his story today. But before we go any further, let's just tap on some things that has happened in the news. We have an issue with gun violence. We had the Uvalde school incident in Texas. Most recently, we had a Tulsa shooting. Here in North Carolina, I witnessed a shooting at a gas station, and it was just awful. Anthony, what do you think is going on with all this gun violence?
Oh, man, wow, that's a great question. I think people need, what's going on with this gun violence is we're off track. People are off track, and right now we want to quick to blame everything on mental health, but I think people know. I don't know. I take a stance on this thing because I think we need to take some action. What I think is going on is a miseducation, and to me, I always relate it back to spiritual things that's happening. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that we have got to wise up. We've got to start learning how to have some winning habits to rise up. So that's my thing, Pauline. And I don't know. I don't like guns. So. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm one that's I'm not a fan of guns, but we need them.
Yeah.
We need them. So I don't know. I don't know what would be your solution to end all this gun violence.
Wow. Man, what would be my solution to end the gun violence? Like you said, they're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, my solution would be to educate more and more restrictions and making sure that we follow proper procedure when someone is trying to obtain a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can't do anything about the undermarket part, the black market part, where you can go and buy one off the street from someone as a felon or even as a lay person. You can go and buy a gun from somebody. But my solution would be just to make sure that we're adhering to those gun laws that we need to adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's the easiest answer, but that's what I say. We got to be stricter when someone walks in and wants to purchase a weapon,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Right. Now, you said something about black market. I'm like you with that. You said you don't think that anything can be done about that part. I believe something can be done.
Okay.
And that's going back to the law, stricter gun laws, and catching those folks that have those guns unlawfully, and maybe doing something a little different than what we're doing now for those that use them unlawfully.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only solution I can see. Maybe take some notes. I don't know what's happening in other countries with guns and this craziness with all this guns and gun violence. But if there's a country that's doing it better than we are, we need to take notes. We need to find out what they are doing so we can maybe apply it here in the United States of America. Because, I mean, you know, shootings are just, I mean, anybody getting killed by a gun is awful. If, you know, there's no, I guess what you could say, good reason to shoot someone.
You're right.
You know?
Right.
But just random shootings and these school shootings are just, I don't even know what to say anymore about it, you know?
Yeah, it leaves you speechless. And when I talk about the black market, I feel like you can go and relate it to, I've seen firsthand where you can put it out there that you need something, and by the end of the night, you can have what you need in hand when it comes to a weapon. So
perhaps if we can make those folks understand, you know, life doesn't have to be this way.
It doesn't.
It does. I don't know. And I kind of feel like I don't want to keep pointing fingers at ministries and churches and all this other stuff, but I'm like, who else better to go out into the streets and try to win these folks over that's pushing all this gun violence, that's supplying the illegal guns and things of that nature, you know? You know, as I said one time before, I just believe Jesus is coming back soon. We're in
Believe that.
Yes. All right, moving on to something else. Anthony, are you aware of what's happened recently with comedian D.L. Hughley and comedian Monique?
No.
Okay. So these two are comedians, very well respected veterans in the game. And they were both scheduled for a show in Chicago. I believe it was Detroit. And there was some question about who was to go on the show first, or who was to be the headliner of the show. And the headliner is usually considered the biggest star of the show. And they close out the show, or they're the last to perform in the event. So Monique claims that she was scheduled to do it, but D.L. Hughley instead allegedly argued that no, he was supposed to be the headliner and to close the show. So what happened is Monique goes on stage because she says that she doesn't want to disappoint those who came to see the show. But what she did was she really went in on D.L. Hughley. I mean, she cut him with a knife. Not literally, but with her words. And I just wanted to get your take on that. What did you think about that? But you didn't know anything about it, right?
I briefly heard it on Steve Harvey's show this morning.
Okay.
And briefly, and kind of in the background heard about it, but they were talking about the fact that that shouldn't be coming out on stage like that, and the fact that it should be a business should have been handled differently behind the scenes instead of on the stage. You know, and people were kind of I did hear like I said, in the background, but promoter, that's like me coming in here trying to host a show and you're the host,
right?
and it's already worked out that on a business end that you are the host. I knew that walking in here. I'm not, I may be on the show as a guest, but I'm not in the driver's seat. I'm here because I was invited here. That was established from a business standpoint. So yeah, that should have been handled. And I know from what they were talking about this morning, from a promoter and a business manager standpoint, that those things should have been handled off stage and give the people what they want.
Right, I agree with you. As you know, I'm a bit of a promoter myself, and I agree that should have been handled off stage, but she chose to handle it on stage. But the thing I'm trying to drive at is this: there's a man versus a woman in an argument. You being a man, I hear a lot that women seem to take on the role of a man or be more masculine than what most men expect them to be or want them to be. Your thoughts on that, sir? Do you see a change in roles here lately between men and women and how women are being viewed?
Well, I am one of those ones. I'm grateful that I had my mother and father as examples in my home, but related to what I see now is women do take more of a stance, but I don't have a problem with that because, number one, I'm not going to go toe-to-toe with you. And number two is I feel like if we can't enhance each other, then we're taking something away. But I don't have a problem with a woman being strong and standing her ground. But however, there does come a place where you have to you got to be relatable and you got to be able to communicate. And I think the communication part is there's nothing wrong with a strong woman because so many men right now are off track that women have to stand their ground to be strong. And manhood is in a state of confusion right now. And I keep taking a stance on that there's a lot of men who are creating problems because they're not walking in true manhood. So a woman has to step it up.
Wait a minute. I got to give you a house applause on that one, Mr. McCauley. Thank you for saying that.
So, yeah.
I think you're about the first man to admit that, So
I deal with men in the jailhouse, and I let them know, and I've been there firsthand too. But anytime that the engine is off track, the whole train derails. So we as men are those engines, and women have to step it up sometime. But when you meet that woman that you may feel like you're being challenged, no, that's not your fault, and that's not her fault. It's just the fact she's in survival mode.
All right now.
She's in survival mode, but you still have to maintain a level of respect. I don't care who you are as a man. There's a level of respect for our women that I value, and some men may say that's weak, but that's just my opinion, and I'll stand my ground on that. So.
Okay. Now you mentioned that you deal with men in jailhouses. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's get into your invite today. And why we invited you here as a motivational speaker, as well as author, philanthropist. Okay, so Mr. McCauley, I'm going to just tap into what I feel like was your history as a young man, maybe coming out of high school. You were a student at Thomasville High School in Thomasville, North Carolina. Is that correct?
Home of the Bulldogs.
Home of the Bulldogs. And you recently went back there to do what?
I spoke at the high school athletic banquet that they have every year for the students, those student athletes. And I was invited back, and I hadn't stepped in that cafeteria. It was 39 years today since I graduated Thomasville High School. And it was an honor to go back and be on the Bulldog campus again. So,
okay. Now, moving right along with that, you were a student athlete as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you were a standout
Yes.
All right. What sport did you play, sir?
I played football, basketball, and I ran track.
All right. You did all three.
yeah.
Which did you excel in the most?
Football.
Football. Did you move on to college with your football career?
I did not. I briefly did a stint at East Tennessee State where I tried on, but my senior year was plagued with injuries. And I've had 6 knee operations. The last time last six knee operation was a total replacement of a knee.
Wow.
That same one that I hurt when I was playing ball. So that changed my career. My senior year had so many colleges looking at not only me but those other fellow football players out there on the field, and mine ended with an injury that same night, and I never heard from another college scout after that. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, so high school is over, a little brief stint in college, and then I'm going to go right into your story. You ended up in a life of drugs.
I did.
Okay.
And I'm forthright about that. So.
And you are totally away from that now, but that's what leads you to where you are now as a motivational speaker.
Yes.
Somebody who has been completely delivered and free of drugs for a long time. And you have found it in your heart to go back and help others. Matter of fact, I had the opportunity to witness that today. I witnessed Anthony McCauley on a phone call with a young lady who I believe she is struggling with substance abuse. Mm-hmm. And I watched him or listened to him guide her. He showed her love. He showed her respect. She sounded as like she was a young, maybe Caucasian female, maybe in her 20s or 30s. She sounded very young. He assured her everything was going to be okay. And I was like, wow, I got to watch you work. And you did an amazing job, sir.
Wow.
And I know that you do it all the time because that's where you are now and the position you are in now. So let me ask you, what made you experiment with drugs?
Oh, man. Well, back in the late 80s, 87, 88, that area, that time period, an epidemic hit the streets of all over the world, all over the United States, and particularly black communities. The crack cocaine epidemic hit. And I was creative and working corporate positions, sort of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type guy. Mm-hmm. And through the daytime, I'm doing some work and working and doing what I do to maintain myself because I had to come back home and go to community college and work and stay at home. And I got to the point where I could dip and dab a little bit what I thought was some street life. And P. Ross, I'm telling you, that thing was painted up so pretty. And when I started selling, I found a creative way to flip a package. And some people would know what I'm talking about when I say flip a package, and also use for free. But I had someone that I sold to that I sat down with, and I sat down too long. Okay, I sat there too long. Next thing you know, I was high. And I woke up something inside of my mind. Your body already produces naturally what it needs to. Endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine levels are already produced and given to you by God. And I introduced a mood-altering chemical, and it took my mind into places like a hamster on a wheel. And I got to admit, I loved it. My body loved it. And from that point, I began to party. And sin was fun. It was painted up pretty. And it made me feel good. It took away those resentments of not playing ball, and I could, but you come down off of that. So I spent a lot of money.
You're the second person that I heard say sin is fun. They admit that, sin can be fun, but it has consequences, and they're not good, So, yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue on.
Yeah, so my story, and like I said, I'm so forthright about where I've been because I come from a great family, but I always wonder why did this have to be my testimony? Why did I have to get in front of the world to do this and to reach back and help others? Because this is very draining work right now, Right now, we're dealing with the opiates and the fentanyl out here on these streets, and it's very draining. Heroin is going rampant right now, and opiates and, pills. But right now, I look at this. This is a ministry for me.
Yes.
And I was built for it. I made it through 2 overdoses, and I ran those streets hard, and I partied. So if I'm sitting here to tell about the fact that I've been through 2 overdoses, strike 3 and I'm out. I have no more runs left in me. Yes.
Grateful to have you here today. Overdoses turn out not to be so good a lot of times, and you're here, and you're here sharing your story with us, and we appreciate you. We appreciate your transparency, because I believe those that are listening or watching today, they will gain something from this, and that's why we have you here today.
Yes.
For those of you just tuning in, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross on Oak 93.5 FM, WRLY Raleigh. We appreciate your choosing to listen in with us today. In the studio, we have with us Mr. Anthony B. McCauley, author of Setback for the Comeback, It's Never Too Late. He is also an motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and he has a beautiful story that he's here sharing with us today. Later on, Mr. Dion Wingate will be joining in with us as well. All right, Mr. McCauley. So you went through the life of drugs, and you made a decision to go to rehab. Tell us about that.
Well, there were 3 times when I went to rehabilitation centers, and a couple, they call it, you go to detox and try to get yourself together. And I've been to detox, and just a lot of times, the first 2 times I went to rehab, it was for somebody else, just to keep everybody quiet and get off my back and leave me alone. And I needed some help and a break off the streets. But the last time, when I really, really got to my wits' end and said enough is enough, I'm going to do this for me this time, I ended up in Jacksonville, Florida at a place called Lakeview Health Systems, and it changed my life because I actually put something into it. These people got me there, and they picked me up from the bus station in a limousine. I was nasty, I was dirty, I was stinking, and they picked me up in a limousine. I'm like, what in the world? And they let me sleep for a day or 2 because I left Charlotte, North Carolina in a mess and decided enough is enough. And when I arrived in Jacksonville, Florida, they fattened me back up. They loved on me. They gave me some therapy. But in Jacksonville, Florida, I had 2 therapists, but one therapist, I don't know what she did. I don't know if she Googled me or what, but she had my resume and said, there's something underlying going on with you. And she put a handheld mirror in front of my face and said, talk to this guy. And I really, really had a breakthrough when I did that, and it changed my life.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, let me say something here. Now, I mentioned earlier in the show that I had the opportunity to witness you coach a young lady who is maybe struggling with substance abuse. And one of the things I heard you say to her is, tell the truth. Tell the truth. And as you were just mentioning, you were being honest with yourself at that point in time. Is that right?
Yes, there's no need to lie. And
no need to lie.
The people that are like me are some of the most powerful, manipulative people you ever want to meet. But we take that same energy and turn it around to something positive. We are masterminds, and we can change the world. So I truly believe if you come to me and you honestly let me know that you need help, then I can help you. And I don't know if you remember me telling her, I said, don't rob the bank, then call me. Call me while you're sitting out in the parking lot thinking about it, then I can help you. But once you cross the line and go get high, it's a whole nother story, because that puts me in jeopardy. I can't come to you. I don't want to see you. And I really don't want to have a whole conversation with you, because that'll get my mind set to wandering. So that's why I'd always tell people, be honest, because now we're dealing with doctors who have stigmas against who we are. And some doctors believe in us, but there are doctors say, hey, I wish you would just quit this, but it's not that easy sometimes. And so now, if you're honest, I had to be honest and open. My second overdose, I walked into an emergency room, and I know I was overdosing, but I told the doctor I was having chest pains. they did a protocol for me for people that are having heart attacks with the nitroglycerin and all that thing. So when they did that, I flatlined.
Oh, wow.
And the doctor knew something was wrong, and he had a conversation with me and said, "Sir, look here. I don't know you came into the emergency room, but I noticed this is happening. I did a protocol for a heart attack, but there's something else going on." So he said, "Be honest with me." So at that point, I opened up and told him exactly what was going on. He said, "There are HIPAA laws, young man. Don't ever come into an emergency room again and tell a lie, because what happened is I did a protocol and you flatlined. You left here. But in order for you to be open and honest and get the treatment you need, you have to be honest." Ever since then, I've never, ever told a lie about the things that I was going through. Honesty is the best policy.
That is so powerful.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley, that is very powerful. Yes, it is. We are delighted that Mr. Dion Wingate has stepped in the building with us. Yes. Welcome, Mr. Wingate.
How you doing?
We're doing well. Thank you for being here today.
My man. This is my man right here. Boy.
When I was looking for someone to interview, I asked Mr. McCauley, who would you recommend that we bring on the show with you? And he mentioned Dion Wingate. And let me tell you something. I was so excited when he mentioned this name, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm a frequent, I frequent social media a lot, and I have been seeing Mr. Dion Wingate's name all across social media. And I'm like, the first thing that catches my eye about Mr. Wingate is he is a spiffy dresser. So I must ask, are you a professional model, Mr. Wingate?
I'm not. Believe it or not, I've been asked that a lot of times.
Really? Okay.
I actually design clothes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's good to know. Yeah, well, you do a fantastic job because, like I said, that was the very first thing I noticed about you.
And I don't want to spoil it, man. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let you answer the questions. My brother here now, Pauline, P. Ross. My brother is here now. So I'm going to leave the questions up to you, but it's a whole lot to this man right here.
I know. Okay, and we're going to get into that, but we're going to finish with Mr. McCauley and his story. Mr. McCauley, now, you have a group called Males of Distinction.
Yes.
At what point in time... Well, first of all, tell us about Males of Distinction.
Well, of course, you're going to find out people that deal with me, they know I love some acronyms. And Males of Distinction is making achievable life-enhancing strides. And I chose distinction because I tell these young men, distinction means to be set apart.
Okay.
So I'm like, so I teach these young men character development, some success-building things. But it's been tough. But I give young men outlets to see someone as a father figure that they may not have an example for. Even their fathers may need an example. So, Males of Distinction is a very powerful organization, and we are now branching out all over the United States right now, doing some virtual mentoring. COVID hit us really hard, and we have 6 core initiative programs under the Males of Distinction umbrella, such as a drone program.
Well, let's give you a hand of applause of branching out outside of your local area. Okay,
yes.
That is wonderful. I've seen Males in Distinction in operation a couple of years ago. Matter of fact, I invited Males of Distinction to assist me in a outing that we did in a park. They came and did a hot dog sale. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes. I
forgot about that.
Yeah, so he teaches young men on how to do such things as that, you know.
Well, we call it males because there's a transition from male into manhood. I tell these young men, you guys are transitioning into manhood, so that's why we call it Males of Distinction. I deal with males. I'm not dealing with men. We are getting there, so... But right now, these young men I deal with, they are males going through adolescent stages and different stages of their life. So,
okay, all right, Mr. McCauley. Now, getting back to our story, and for those of you who are just tuning in, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross. I am your host, P. Ross, and we are broadcasting live today out of Oak 93.5 FM, WRLY Raleigh, North Carolina. All right, Mr. McCauley and Mr. Wingate are here with me today sharing their stories as to why they are now considered motivational speakers, philanthropists, and authors of their great best-selling books. All right, and we started with Mr. McCauley's story, Mr. Anthony B. McCauley's story. He was a one-time drug user and has come off, and he's sharing with us his story on how he was able to do this. He mentioned going to a rehab in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. And I think that's kind of where we left off. Is that correct, Anthony?
Yeah, that's where we were.
Okay, let's pick up from there. So you went through the rehab program. You come out. You're a new man. What was next for you?
Well, you have to start back rebuilding because for so many times I have built and I didn't get it right the first time. If you noticed it, I said back in the late 1980s, well, I went to rehab in 2013, if that tells you anything. That tells you that all in between that time, I kept falling and bumping my head and kept thinking that, hey, I can go do one. I can get me a little taste and be okay. There's no such thing. Either you in or you out. Either you're going to walk in the light or the darkness. Either you're going to live or die. So this was at a point. But the point after 40 days, 45 days of rehab, I was able to return back home. I was able to do some things to get myself back in order, but I had to have a support system. And people around me, I tell people, lots of people opinion of me is none of my business. Even when it came to family going, hey, we're having a cookout. Are you able to come outside? Yeah, I'm able to come outside. Of course, family gatherings and things of that nature, they're still doing their things. You can see people kind of hiding things when you walk around like they're scared of you, like it's going to trigger you. Well, that's when you have to be strong. I know when to go and get away from them and get in the house. And but right now, I choose not to indulge. I have the obsession to use and abuse substances has been delivered from me. So. I'm very grateful for that. I have other things. I got support system like my brother Dion. He and I have conversations on levels that we can't talk about on the radio. So I have conversations with him. When I could get, if I'm in my head feeling some kind of way, I'll pick up and call. I got other people I can call. Just like when I was on the streets. If you didn't have the dope that I want, I went to another dealer. So right now, if you're the mentor that I call, you're not available, I call another mentor. So I had to rebuild my life because I'm so sick and tired of tearing it down. And I've been through a divorce and so many things. I had an indirect relationship with my daughters who now I'm so grateful that they love their father. I came correct with them and I made amends with them and the mother of my children. I made amends too. And we have a beautiful relationship, and they love their dad. They check on me. Dad, are you okay? So I had to check on them. But the person that's out there that's dealing with some addictive behaviors for family members, that's still your loved one. And I know we exhaust everyone around us, and it hurts the heck out of families. But that's not what we want to do. It's just your mind is consumed. That thing has your brain. You have brain damage, and your mind, I'm telling you, a lot of times, P. Ross, I didn't even want to get high. But guess what happened? It came to me free.
At one point in time, I've had to deal with someone that was close and abusing drugs. And I tried to sit in their shoes and figure out why is it like it is, And I was eating something one day, and it was something that I was craving, and I satisfied the craving by getting it and eating it. And it struck me right then and there. I was like, wow. Now, I never used drugs, but I was like, is this what that sensation is that they get when they crave? They don't really want it. Like, they might feel it's fattening. Like, we look at food, it's fattening. We know we don't need it. But I got to have it. I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to eat it, Or I imagine that's what it's like.
That's addictive behavior right there. You just explained it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, but when you say crack cocaine, when you say something else, It's people in society was, oh my God, that's the ultimate sin. Oh my goodness, what you said? Did you say crack? Oh, you said cocaine or opiates? Oh my goodness! But you know what? Sin is sin, and I knew some people over the years that I met. I knew a lady that would buy a whole case of Snicker bars. She was addicted to Snicker bars.
Right.
You know, some people are addicted to talking too much. You know, so there's different types of areas. But when it seems like when you talk about what I've been through, it seems like it's the ultimate sin. But no, like I said earlier, I was built for this, and I don't know why that's my testimony. But I'm here today. And I'm very forthright about sharing my mindset with it now. So
yes,
I'm proactive when it comes to someone dealing with addictive behaviors because I want them to see a testimony.
Yes, and let me tell you something. You do an awesome job with your story in this book, Setback for the Comeback. It's never too late. Anthony B. McCauley. Like I said, I had the opportunity to meet Anthony prior to me reading his book. And when I read the book, I was like, I would have never known if he had not given me the book, because he's an upright, well-known, well-liked citizen of the community, the community he lives in. And, he's very well-known and appreciated in our community. So thank you for sharing your story, your testimony.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity. That's that
Yes.
Class and charisma that I carry with myself. I told you I changed, I turned it around for good. That's what it was. So,
all right, class and charisma. Let's talk about your friend that's sitting next to you, Mr. Dion Wingate. Again, Mr. Wingate, welcome to Chat City with P. Ross. Thank you for coming in, and it's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you and Anthony inviting me to your platform, first and foremost.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been wanting to meet you for a long time now. I know when I would see I have a platform that I use on social media where I try to promote others, and I would see your information a lot and would share it a lot. And I always wondered about you. I did happen to see a clip. I think it was on WRAL. Yes. On the news, you were being interviewed. And tell us about that interview.
That interview, it came about because of a book that I wrote, Autopilot. Autopilot was a book that I wrote on the basis to help other people that were suffering through the things that I was suffering at one point in time, and still sometimes think about, but how I overcame them. I wanted to let people, especially African-American males, or males in general, that deal with mental health and substance abuse, not to be ashamed of that, and that you can overcome from those adversities.
Awesome.
And
go ahead.
And through that process, I didn't have no big marketing team or no marketing budget. And I reached out to every platform. That addictive personality is no way, I don't go in things halfway. I have to go all the way in. And WRAL contacted me. They had an interest in my story and the things that I was doing, and was surprised to see where I came from to where I had grown to at that point in time.
Okay. Now, you two were a substance abuser. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And tell us what it made you try drugs.
Well, pain, loss, and loneliness was my way to alcohol. That was actually my initial drug of choice.
Okay.
And those things made me feel comfort because of the loss that I had at such a young age. At 4, I had lost my mother and all security that I had known in life. And I say that over and over again because that's hard now that I look back for a kid, because I have my daughter, I have a 15-year-old that live with me, and just losing just all security that you had known at 4 is traumatizing.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had 3 I have 3 other siblings that were in the household with me, and they were taken away. They went with their father. I was the only one with a different father. So that's where the loneliness came in.
Oh, okay.
And not feeling wanted and not addressing them, because we lived in a community where mental health was looked at as just bad behavior. No one really addressed it. That was the hush word. And when it was all around us, now that I look back, the mental health issues were at a rapid roar in my community, actually. And as I grew, never addressing those issues, I fell in love with not a woman, but a bottle.
Okay.
Because when I was sinking to that, I could be wherever I wanted to be, and I didn't have to deal with the things that I dealt with in the past, never addressing the verbal abuse, the physical abuse, or just the loneliness that I felt. And people started gravitating toward me that had the same love of alcohol.
Birds of a feather flock together.
all
Is that the
time.
saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what point in your life did you realize that you were at a low? Things were not good for you, Dion, and you decided to get help?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't do it on my own. Several events had to take place before that happened. I ended up getting incarcerated, and I planned on getting right out, but it didn't. Thank God, it didn't work in my favor. I know Anthony; he's laughing because he probably had the same story. So I planned on getting straight out, which, like I said, thank God, and I believe in God. And everyone has a right to believe in whatever they want to believe in. That's just what I believe in.
Okay.
But I found myself all alone again. But this time I couldn't turn to a bottle. I turned to the Bible.
Okay.
And through that process of not getting out, I had to look in the mirror at myself and realize that losing my mother, the loss that I had, the feeling of loneliness, that had nothing to do with me choosing to drink. That was a choice that I made. I had to do something that I had never done in life. Take accountability
All right.
for my actions.
Come on, bro.
We're going to give you a house applause on that.
Come on, man.
He said something very important, taking accountability of his actions. And that's what we need to do, take accountability. So there was 2 important things said here today. Anthony said, be honest. And Dion says, take accountability. And I think with those 2 ingredients right there, you will come out on top. Is that right?
You're exactly right. That's a key message right there.
All right. Dion, you are also the CEO of New Perspective Solutions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that is a substance abuse and mental health consultancy agency. Is that in Raleigh, North Carolina?
Well, we travel. We actually facilitate trainings to facilities that house people with substance abuse and mental health issues.
Okay. And what made you get started with this?
My background.
Okay.
And you never go wrong with something that you've been through, experienced, and overcame. No matter how many degrees or credentials someone has, if you lived it, you have a more powerful impact, because you know the BS when you see it in the people. You can kind of sense the people who just there just to be there. And I felt through my experience of going through a program and just different avenues trying to get sober, what was missing in those programs. So what I did, I got a group of people. Anthony was a part of my program too as well. I have speakers that had past addiction, that had overcame. They had to be sober for over 3 years to participate, because I know the feeling of just finding something new, my first or second week in sobriety, I wanted to tell everybody how to be sober, but I was right back drinking probably that third week.
That's like grabbing that slice of cake
Right.
that you said you weren't going to eat, and you grab it anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the program, we also have physical health instructor. That because when what I realized when I was going through my addiction and my substance abuse, it's all the same, really. Because alcohol can do you just as dirty as any other drug, and we just sweep that under the rug. But I had the health instructor. She's certified. Everybody has to have credentials or be professional in what they do. I realized when I was out there, I didn't take care of my health. I don't know too many people that do, no matter what your addiction is. As you said, Ms. Ross, the cake. You keep on referring back to the cake. And Anthony said the candy bars. You always, you're never taking care of your body, because whatever you're addicted to, that substance or that food or whatever it may be, that's priority. And I knew we had to clean up the inside too as well. And we have a therapist, a certified therapist, so I won't overbound. I know my position. I don't try to overstep my position. I may trigger someone and do not know how to resolve the situation.
We just talked about that.
That's why I have see, we all need each other. That's why I have a certified therapist, and I have a life coach. A life coach that could provide different steps for recovery to transfer into the world. But the unique thing, everyone has to have 3 years of sobriety. So you're dealing with 3 different people, 3 different professions that are now successful in helping you. So if you see them, you'll realize that you can do it as well.
And what I appreciate about you too, that all the help that you received, you decided to pay it forward. For those of you just joining in, you're listening to Chat City on Oak 93.5. I'm your host, P. Ross, and we thank you for joining in today. If you're just tuning in, we have with us today Mr. Anthony B. McCauley and Mr. Dion Wingate. These 2 men have powerful stories. They have gone through a life of alcohol and drugs, only to be sitting on top of the world now with their businesses and assisting others through their mentorship and books. All right. Again, thank you for being with us here today, gentlemen, and sharing your stories and being so open and honest about the things that you've gone through. All right, gentlemen. So I'm going to go back to Anthony for a moment. Anthony, so you've done things such as male mentorship with younger men to help steer them in the right direction. You are a part of some other programs as well. Did we talk about that earlier?
No. We
Okay,
didn't.
share some of the programs that you assist with now.
Okay. I'm also in my county where I'm at in Moore County. We've just I just started another business called Rebuilt Through Recovery Therapeutic Consulting Services. And my disclaimer on that is I'm not a therapist like Dion said. I got people in place, and I'm dealing with now people who have stigmas, even doctors who have stigmas against someone like myself, and educating them through workshops. Also, I am the Domestic Violence Intervention Program Group Facilitator at the local jailhouse in Moore County, with those men who've committed domestic violence crimes. They have to come to my group on Saturdays. I teach a group men and women who've been locked up on drug charges. I do a via Zoom class, helping men recover, and a women's parenting class. In that women's parenting class, I teach different strategies of helping them. And it's ironic that they chose me to come in and do that. Teach women about parenting toddlers and their babies and pointing to them. But I'm real creative with my strategy when I go in, and I find something that's very, very rewarding for those ladies. And I got feedback the other day from the local sheriff and the captain of the jail that said they have never experienced people wanting to get up out of bed and come to group. And they said when they know that every week they look forward to me coming in and pouring into them. And P. Ross, I'm not doing anything well, I am doing something spectacular. And it's ministry for me. I get so much joy out of it. But on the other side, when you're sitting in that jumpsuit, you'll tell me everything I need to hear while you're sitting there. And I provide resources for them for when they walk out of that door and that door slams behind them. What are you going to do then? What are you going to do when you're released? And we provide them with resources for after they get out of there. But 85% of the time, I don't hear from anybody. But while they're sitting there, your body's changing. A lot of in the last few weeks, I've had some people that's sitting on the other side of the screen, and within a matter of a week or that same day, I find out there's a funeral that needs to take place because they've went back and they've doubled up on their drug of choice, and it just took them out. There's some powerful things on the street. So that's some things I do within the neighborhood, in the community, on a local level, national level, and international level, that I'm finding that I'm having a lot of successes doing some things virtually now.
Okay. And real quickly, tell us at what point did you decide, okay, I'm going to start writing books. I'm going to be an author.
I knew at 17 years old because I had a sweet little auntie from Waysboro that was a Christian lady, one of those devout Christians, and she always used to tell me, you got books inside of you and God gonna get the glory for your life. And I'm like, well, auntie, I'm high right now, okay? I don't want to hear that. And I need another beer. And but when I got out of that last rehab center in 2013 in Florida, I came back to my parents' house. And my dad said, of course you can come back home, but I got root. I said, that's fine, Dad. Just give me a few months to get it together. He said, come on home. And I sat on his couch. I sat on the couch in my parents' living room and decided to write Setback for the Comeback.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to publish it the same way I wrote it. And that's when I decided. And when I got that first book out of me, I knew that it was going to be on and popping in, and they've been coming out of me like crazy right now.
How many books do you have total?
I have a total of 10.
That's a lot of writing. I know you've given me the second book, and I have not. I know when I first asked you about buying one of your books, you had several to choose from, and I said, no, you pick one for me, and let me start with that one. I have not had the opportunity to read the next one, but I know it's good, and Setback for the Comeback. I really recommend this book to anyone that may be struggling with substance abuse. It's a great starter book. If you know of anyone that may need this book, tell them how they can get it, Anthony.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I was getting ready to jump in there. They can go to AnthonyBMcCauley.com. And McCauley is spelled McCauley. AnthonyBMcCauley.com, all lowercase, and you can order my books. And the reason why I do it this way, because when you order online from me, from my site, you get an autographed copy.
Okay.
And I consider that autographed copy to be a collector's copy because you get my personal autograph. No two autographs will be alike.
All right now.
But one thing I do in my book signings with, in each and every book, I always put my signature line, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that will be in each book that's a person has, local, national, international. You will see that in there. So,
okay. Mr. Wingate, now you mentioned the book that you wrote at the time that you was on WRAL. Is there another book that you have?
Yes.
Tell us about it, please.
Failure is not an option.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about that book, Failure is Not an Option.
The book, it depicts my upbringing, and it's more detailed than the first book. And I share some things that I was ashamed to share in the first book, Autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
It's set with a lot of stories, a lot of true stories of just being honest about using women and realizing that I was no good at one point in time and just pointing the finger. But at the same time, I'm saying that you can still be somebody no matter where you come from. That's the narrative I stick to. So I base everything I do actually around the Chinese bamboo tree. That's my logo for New Perspective Solutions. So failure is not an option. It's like the Chinese bamboo tree. It let people know that. Are you familiar with the Chinese bamboo tree?
I have a lot of bamboo trees on my property. I don't know if they're Chinese or not, but
All right.
that's all I know about a bamboo tree.
All right. Well, the unique thing about that particular tree is that once you plant the seed, you have to water it on a constant basis for 3 to 5 years. And it doesn't grow until that 3rd or 4th year. Then it shoot up like 80 feet. So that's the same as recovery or anything that you do in life. You constantly have to water it or nurture it for it to grow. So that's the basis behind the book and everything that I do.
Okay. And I'd like to mention that both of these men have really shown their growth in what they do now. Mr. Wingate, although he's gone through his period of substance abuse, is now a successful real estate agent.
Come on now.
We don't do nothing halfway.
Come on, man.
We're going to give him a hand for that.
Yeah.
And also Mr. McCauley, he has a successful drone business. Tell us a little bit about that drone business, sir.
Oh, my God. I love flying the drone and taking aerial photos and doing videos. That came about taking a free workshop at Sand Hills Community College in Pinehurst. And I followed through with the free workshop and investigated and said, you know what, this is the wave of the future right here. And I'm doing some things on the level that not even touching the surface of what's going on in the drone industry right now. And I teach that. Matter of fact, I'm going to teach a 3-week camp at the community college. And they accepted a written contract proposal for me, and I got a camp that I'm going to be teaching kids. But kids in my local neighborhood, yes, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And but I have those kids who they call, and I get so P. Ross, they call my kids at risk. And I try to break that stigma and don't call them at risk. I call them at purpose.
At purpose. That's great.
And so we got my kids in my local neighborhood. We get dealing with a fixed mindset and trying to get them into a growth mindset to recognize that I didn't go to college to become a certified drone pilot. I took some FAA certification test, which was very intense. And I taught myself. I self-taught and I actually obtained that license. And have obtained it now for 4 years. You have to renew it every 2 years, but I teach it also within the community of Moore County. However, like I said, the mindset has to change, but I'm very, very, very adamant about the fact that teaching these young men that there are trades out here now that you can do. And because right now, you know how much a plumber makes? My goodness. HVAC technicians and different areas of growth that way.
Right.
And so there's life still beyond school. There's some things that these kids can do. And but I love the drone industry.
Okay. If we're getting to the top of the hour and at the close of our show. Yes, I'm sorry. Mr. Wingate, tell us how we can get your books.
Amazon.com. Just on Amazon, failure is not an option. That's how you can get the book.
Okay.
Can I touch on something that Mr. McCauley
make it real quick because we're running out of time
about the education? Because you can do. I did all that with a GED. So anyone who discouraged and said they can't do it, think again. Tell that to somebody else.
That's right. You heard it here on Chat City with P. Ross on Oak 93.5 FM. Look, you can overcome this drug addiction if you are, or substance abuse. If you are listening or watching the show today, you can do it. These two men sitting in the radio station with me today, they have proven that. So we hope that you find this show was inspirational to you, or if you think someone that you know may can use this information and use this inspiration, please share. All right. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on Chat City. We'll have you come back again. We just need to talk a little bit more, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do. We sure do.
We'll definitely have you come back again to the show. Real quick, give me, Anthony, something that you want to share with the listeners. Real quick.
Don't downgrade your dreams just to fit your reality. You need to upgrade your conviction to match your destiny.
Okay, and Mr. Wingate.
You can do it.
You can do it. Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you. And we'll be back next week with a new guest. All right. Have a great night.